Holiday season. Flying in full effect. You already know what's the deal. Whenever you hear that MVP chant, it's the most valuable podcast in the world. Yeah. It's the Hitmen podcast, episode 97. Chris in full effect. MG in here. What's the word, big dog? How you feeling?
Bet it up. We back.
And then 23 off right, man. I'm about to get in traffic in a little while once we drop this. I got
Countdown, bruh.
I got to get these Christmas gifts. I hate that I got to do it this way. I hate getting in the street this time of year to do the last minute shopping. You know, I'm usually an online shopper. I'm a great gift giver, but it was, like I said, money was an endangered species these past couple months. But I'm going to knock shit down over these next couple of days into the weekend before we get ready for the holiday, bro. Everything straight on your end?
Oh, yeah, bruh. We locked in, ready. Like I said, count down to 100, bruh.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Count down to 100.
We took the long way around, but
Will Chamberlain time, bruh.
we took the long way around, but God is real. We're gonna set it up for the triple digit. Shout out to I Ain't Going to CJ and Daryl. My dog just had a birthday the other day too. Sad season in full effect. But yeah, they getting ready for their 100th as well. We kind of been running on the same autobahn. But yeah, man, it's an exciting feeling. The key to it is consistency. Some days you don't feel the greatest. Some days it's slow news weeks, right? Not a lot going on in sports on the court or on the field, so you kind of gotta be creative, but also try to, get great content despite it being slow.
Yeah.
And the cream always rises to the top, man. The testament of hard work and consistency. We done had different versions and amalgamations of the pod up until this point. For those that kind of know the initiated, we started one way, and we just got through talking about it before we got on the show. You was always a big inspiration of mine, you and big homie Bruce Blitz. I tapped into y'all way back when I started my career in sports. And that's back when y'all was doing like 8-hour, 9-hour, 11-hour podcasts. I would just listen to them overnight on them long drives or on them flights, them connecting flights. And it's just like, man, y'all dive into sports in a whole different on a whole different light. So it motivated me, but also like, it's what we do, man. When we get around family, when we get around the family that we choose, our guys, our crew, our fam, our gang, this is what we own. Like, we talk about sports, we talk about the stuff that motivates us. Like, for me, sneakers are my guilty pleasure. So I could talk about sneakers all day and all night. But sports, too. So coming up on 100, it means a lot. I'm glad that you was able to be my tag team partner in this and believe in it to help me push it forward. So we're gonna take it to the next level. Once we reach triple digits. So, and we appreciate y'all for rocking with us up until this point as well. We got a lot of great things coming down the pipe. I know y'all been loving the content with KD and Cinco coming in. Cinco went to the Bulls game tonight. They beat the Lakers, but hoping to have a lot more of him. I was a big fan of his coming from his podcast. Shout out to Goodfellas. But yeah, man, I'm blessed. I'm pleased. I'm happy with the product so far, and it's only gonna get better. We just got to put a little bit more work into it, put a little bit more money into it, and turn it into one of the greats. You feel me? Like, I'm motivated by like KG Certified, All the Smoke, Knuckleheads. You feel me? Like, those are them joints that kind of like motivate me, and I see myself in that level. I ain't play pro sports, right? But I can talk basketball. I can talk sports with the best of them. And my career is rooted in sports. I done been on the hardwood pause. I done been on some of time-altering, life-altering, like, moments in sports. Like, I've been there for some NBA Finals, Super Bowls, World Series, things like that. So our credentials are up there. You feel me? It ain't just one of them things where we just popping shit just to be popping shit, So 100 means a lot. But
100 on the way.
Yeah, straight up and down. We trying to get to 1,000. You know what I'm saying? My podcast princess need all of that. She need to know her daddy made a difference. We appreciate y'all rocking with us. Another Valid Yellow Top this week coming. We got a great show for y'all. Want to let y'all know that we everywhere that podcast live. Once again, before we get up out of the 2023, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. whatever podcast live. Make sure y'all tap in, rate, review, and subscribe. Um, get on the train. Check us out on the socials. Y'all know where we at. The Hitmen Podcast. On Instagram at Labeled and Known at Virtuoso Sport. Can't forget about the mailbag, the Hitmen Podcast at gmail.com. Let's talk this intro, man. Jonathan Majors, the verdict just came down. It was kind of like splitting hairs on the counts that he was guilty on. They found him guilty on 2 of the 4. Basically, it boils down to him having reckless use of force or reckless harassment, reckless assault, not aggravated assault. So 2 misdemeanors. He's a first-time offender, no priors. So the sentencing is scheduled for January, or is it February? I can't remember.
I want to say it was February.
February, I think the 6th. So the week of Super Bowl, which also, right, could have been kind of telling because obviously his trajectory was you feel me? He was Rocket Man. He was about to be out of here. So I imagine him being at the Super Bowl for whatever promo for upcoming Marvel movies. You know, they pulled that. He was all over the place when March Madness was going on with that Army commercial. I don't know if you really saw that, but every other commercial it was on the screen. Obviously, you know, they were building the next phase of Marvel around him as the big villain to rival Thanos from the first, you know, Marvel franchise, like decade-long chokehold they had on the entertainment industry. So Disney dropped him shortly after the verdict came down. I wanted to get your thoughts on just the overall situation. I got some views, and I was listening. I kind of like listen to everybody get theirs out before we recorded, and kind of heard everybody's take on the situation. What you think about how everything panned out?
I mean, he basically got found guilty of being too aggressive, trying to get away. We all saw the video.
Yeah, we joked about it last week.
Yeah, like it's crazy to me that's like basically what he got caught up on. It sucks though, because like you said, I mean, his star was rising, right? You start talking about the TV shows he had done, being kind of put in the place of the central villain figure of Marvel. Obviously, you saw Creed, the last Creed movie. He was on the rise, and this is why you don't date crazy.
I mean, you don't know at first, but I
know he had to have seen some red flags.
Well, I mean, he met her on the set of Ant-Man, so it's not like they were in a long-term relationship. Ant-Man was, 2021, 22? Yeah. So if they filmed in 21, if they filmed in 21, the movie came out in 22, that means that he had known her for a year and some change at the most. And then, obviously, you know, people are people at the end of the day. Movie stars are people. Basketball players are people. So behind closed doors, you never know what somebody's psyche is. We kind of all been there. If you've been in a relationship, everything ain't always smiles and Hallmark cards. Everybody had their own shit to deal with. But I don't know. I thought it was kind of telling that Marvel dropped him for a misdemeanor. You know what I'm saying?
Bruh, dropped him. It happened so fast. Like I got the notification about the verdict.
It's like
somebody 3 seconds later, I got the notification about Marvel fired him.
It was like a rep from Disney was sitting in the courtroom, kind of sending a text message as soon as it dropped.
Yeah, he had it already typed up in his drafts. Like as soon as the verdict hit, he just hit send.
Not for nothing, but like if you Google Robert Downey Jr. prior to 2008. You know what I'm saying?
Do we need to mention Ezra Miller in the run he was on for like 2 years?
You heard? But I mean, even just in terms of RDJ, like he's in Oppenheimer. He's up for an Academy Award this year. But you know, he was untouchable. He was Ivan Ooze toxic waste type levels before Iron Man kind of resurrected not just his career but his life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so with
his career was pretty much dead.
He was untouchable. He was not. But you know, there's another undertone with that too. It's the suit you wearing. You know what I'm saying? Jonathan Majors and Robert Downey Jr. are not the same. If you picking up what I'm putting down, you know what I'm saying?
For him to resurrect his career, he's probably gonna have to do a slave movie or two.
Unfortunately,
that's usually how it goes.
I hate that it got to be like that.
Look, man, Will Smith. You see what happened with Will, right? Like that's kind of the pattern here.
It's been the year of the exposure. You seen the clip of Christian Keys coming out making some innuendos about certain folks,
Yep.
foul play in Hollywood. But I just think it's a shame that this young man's career was derailed because he, like you said, he was on the way to being one of them ones. Um, we heard the tape, we saw the video, and it's a lot of pressure that comes with being the first one or being the next one to represent, a special interest group of people. When you represent the black folks, um, it's a lot that comes with it unintentionally. Deion Sanders carried a lot of pressure going to Colorado. He felt he experienced a lot of criticism. I'm in no way comparing Deion Sanders to Jonathan Major's situation, and I'm not condoning violence in any form in a relationship. Everybody should keep their hands to themselves. Obviously, it's no way you can condone putting your hands on a woman, but at the basis, a foundational thing. Everybody need to keep their hands to themselves. But shout out to him. I'm sure he'll bounce. I'm very sure he'll bounce back. His talent is gonna rise to the top. It's gonna elevate him. He just has to kind of do some work. You know what I'm saying? Kind of lay low. You know how this situation go.
Yeah,
I don't think that this type of situation is the type of situation that's gonna end his career. I don't think he's gonna do any jail time at all, especially being a first time offender. And these being misdemeanors. He might get community service, speak to some people, become an advocate for, against domestic violence and kind of be, a spokesperson, things like, do some speaking engagements, and he'll be back. I think he'll be cool. He, like you said, he might have to do some lower level projects. He might have to do a Christmas movie or two. You feel me?
Yeah, he might have to,
He might have to be in this Christmas 3.
Make his own projects, maybe get relegated to a TV series instead of a movie here and there.
Yeah, the Nate Parker ride. So, shout out to Jonathan Major. Shout out to Grace Jabari. Hearts and minds, prayers and thoughts to everybody that had to kind of go through it. This has been the year of the courtroom. This has been the year of exposure. But we gonna start with a blank canvas in 2024. We're gonna get situated, and no more negativity. With that being said, man, let's get off into the BAMs. Maybe quite possibly the last BAMs of 2024 or last BAMs of 2023.
All
right, so check it out. A week after the suspension, we're gonna talk a little bit more about the Draymond situation.
Oh boy.
Still suspended indefinitely. No verdict has come down a week later in regards to what he's on, what the commissioner intends to do, what the Warriors intend to do. I would be surprised if he got less than 20 games. Ja got 25, and we're going to get off into the Ja effect in a second. But when you think about it, Udonis Haslem came out and made a statement, said Draymond is only pulling this with the players that he know ain't going to retaliate, ain't going to do nothing about it, right? He's not pulling it with he's not pulling it with the ones that ain't, you know what I'm saying, that's cut essentially from the same cloth as Draymond. I wonder if there's some truth in that or if it's just some personal. Draymond and Udonis Haslem have had some dust-ups in the past, but they both cut from the same cloth. It's competitive, it's physicality. I agree with Shaq. I don't think that Draymond needs any quote-unquote counseling. I just think that he plays with an edge, but I still don't condone what he did. Like, he could have got away with that stuff back in the 90s style of NBA, and it would have just been hard fouls or it just would have been aggressive play. You can't do that nowadays. And moreover, I don't think the NBA subscriber or the consumer nowadays, they're not tuning in for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think, like, even with, like, UD, like, it never got to the point where it was costing them games, really. Right? Like, yeah, he would get into a couple of scuffles here and there, but, I mean, Draymond's been thrown out of more games than the Pistons have won this year.
Good point. For sure.
And so, like, and especially when you start thinking about, like, just historically, right? Like, you talk about the 2015 finals. You talk about the incident with KD on the bench, right? You start looking at the playoffs last year with the Sabonis thing, and then you start looking at this year. Like, it's fine if it's not consistently costing you games.
Right.
And at this
Word.
point, it's crossing the boundary of, oh, he's just a tough nosed agitator out there to, oh no, like if you're such a big part of this team's offense, like they like to say you are, then they need you on the floor. Not in foul trouble and not suspended or getting thrown out.
I said last
So
week, if he gets 20 games, that essentially kills the Warriors' playoff chances this season. These past 3 seasons, including the championship back in 2022, have been some of Steph Curry's best work. And it kind of reminds me of when LeBron was on the Cavs, where like he essentially is running on autopilot, but he's also running at the peak of his powers. And you can't waste these years, these like liquid gold years that Curry is giving you. Saw he hit the game winner last night against the Celtics, who he's seeming to gain a reputation in terms of owning them the way that Aaron Rodgers feel like he owns Chicago Bears. He doesn't like playing. He doesn't like them. He likes playing them, but he doesn't like them. Specifically, Jaylen Brown. There's a bunch of clips going around how he's kind of been on his ass since his rookie year back when he had the high top. Jaylen Brown, a notoriously flying under the radar as a cocky, chatty player on the court. And Steph Curry got a bunch of different clips of seeing him humbling Jaylen Brown. But it's hard to rely on that from him every single night. And especially without having your right-hand man. With Clay kind of struggling with his shot, trying to get back into real form, it's hard to overcome that adversity without Draymond on the floor. I know you're not a fan of him. In my opinion, he does definitely still bring something worthwhile to the game and to that team. He does what I believe no other player can do for that team. But it's talks about trading him at this point. It has been the past couple days.
Find somebody else to pass Steph the ball.
True.
Part of what Draymond does, obviously, is because he's been there so long, so him and Steph Curry just kind of have that chemistry.
Right.
But I'm not gonna sit here and act, like it's kind of like the Scottie Pippen thing. Like, bro, it's not that difficult to pass the ball to Michael. Yes, you're great defensively. Like Scottie was great defensively, and Draymond does some great things defensively, especially as a help side defender. But there are people he doesn't give you enough to justify the paycheck, in my opinion, in terms of the big number, and to justify putting up with this. Like, I can go get another dude who can easily give me 20 a game and still play solid defense and pass Steph Curry the ball occasionally. And actually, it kind of takes some of the pressure off of Steph because you have one less player on the floor that self-check. Like,
a more responsible player from a defensive side of things.
Well, it's just that because, like, having Draymond, and we've seen it before, having Draymond and Looney on the floor together, it shrinks the floor for the Warriors because neither one of those dudes are gonna get buckets. So
he started shooting threes early. He started shooting threes after that first 5-game suspension. That's not something that you can rely on or bet your house on. I will say that. You're right.
And it's from a creator standpoint, should I say? Like, Steph is typically the only person on the floor who can create a shot. Because Clay ain't gonna dribble. Wiggins, he might dribble, but he timid for no reason.
He elected to go to the bench, so they starting Podziemski, the rookie, in their lineups.
He got hurt, but I mean they needed the youth in the rebounding. Like Podziemski's been rebounding for them really well. So
I will never understand that small guards getting damn near double-digit rebounds over big men are supposed to get paid to get rebounds. That's another story for another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I would be surprised if he got less than 20 games. If it were me, if I had the decision, I would give him 20 games just because of the repeat offenses. We talked about it a little bit.
Home for the year.
He's been the most fined or the most he's received the most technical fouls, I think, since Rasheed Wallace.
It may be Rasheed. It might be Boogie. Might be in there somewhere. Maybe.
I think he passed Boogie, bro.
Oh, jeez.
I think he passed Boogie by a landslide.
I honestly send him home for the year at this point.
Right.
It's like at a certain point, like when are you gonna understand that you're harming us by punching teammates, getting thrown out of games? Like you gotta know the line. Like it's okay to toe the line. I don't have a problem with towing the line, but when you're consistently going over it, that means you need to make an adjustment.
From one
Western Conference team to another, Ja Morant re-energized the Memphis Grizzlies last night. Had an amazing return, 34 points plus the game-winning layup versus New Orleans. They were down 20 at the half. I watched that entire game. Brandon Ingram was trying to then put the nail in the coffin with them. He went for 35. But man, it's one of the things was hard to explain. A single player being like a dynamic force enough to lift a team kind of out of nowhere. It's almost like it was a mid-season draft. They drafted Ja with the number 1 pick right after the in-season tournament, and they get their first win in a while. I think that was their 4th or 5th win of the season. But it was a great game, bro. Did you catch it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I mean, good to see Ja back on the floor, man.
Yeah, it definitely was amazing to see him back on the floor.
He's one of the more exciting players in the league. Like, whether you like Ja or not, he's one of the most exciting players in the league. And he came back with a statement, right? Like,
he got booed every time he touched the ball.
Yeah.
Booed every time he touched the ball. By the end of the night, I think people were cheering when he had the ball in his hand. I don't know if you heard C.J. McCollum's comments about him at the end. He sounded like a fucking hater, in my opinion. He's a great player. He got a signature shoe for a reason. Almost like throwing salt. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but the way I took it, the way I heard it, or the way I listened to it, I'm like, I don't really like that energy, bro. Y'all had a chance to beat the team. CJ, I think, was perfect from 3. I think he had 15 points in the first half, only 3 points the entire second half of the game. And he just kept coming every other possession. I think he might have scored the last 15 or 20 so points down the stretch. Him and Trip, 3J.
Yeah, I think so.
What was a telltale sign for me was Zion was barely on the floor in the fourth quarter. He came in with in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game, but missed a big chunk of minutes in the first and second quarter. He played a decent amount of time in the third, but every bucket in the fourth quarter essentially was Brandon Ingram versus Ja Morant. Brandon Ingram versus Ja Morant.
Yeah, I mean,
he's still not. It looked like he's still not healthy. It looks like they're still monitoring his minutes and monitoring his conditioning. As a franchise player, why is C.J. McCollum and Brandon Ingram playing more minutes than you? In a game where you up 20, I can see, all right, we're going to rest and we up. But when it becomes a tight game at the end, why is he not in there? I haven't watched a whole lot of New Orleans.
He out of shape and he can't defend.
That's you took the words out of my head. Is he rated as an above average defender or not? Because I don't really know.
When he's playing center, he's actually not bad as a help side defender.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is he already is kind of slow footed, and now he's out of shape too. So
right,
he can't move. He can't get up the floor and transition the way they would need him to. He can't recover or guard the pick and roll the way they need him to as a big man. So I don't want to say this because I don't want to accuse him of anything, but it's almost like he's quit on New Orleans.
Memphis
once you start doing post-game interviews and you talking about some, I'm trying to buy in now type stuff. It's like, bro, Willie Green been there for how long? And you've seen the success they were having before you got back and before you got injured as well. So like, why are you just now buying in? I get he was upset they got rid of T. Weatherspoon. And T. Witherspoon's awesome.
Oh, I ain't mad at all. Shout out to Coach Spoon, the new head coach of the Chicago Sky. Anyhow,
yeah. So I mean, they got rid of her, and obviously that was like Zion's like the closest person on the staff to Zion, obviously. Word. So I get he was upset about that as well. I mean, but at the same time, like this has been if you keep getting hurt and people keep and experts keep telling you like, yo, your weight is a part of the reason, and you still. You come in shape every year for like a week, and then it's gone. So it's like Zion has to ask himself, how bad does he want to be great?
Memphis got their 7th win of the season, with the game winner from Ja last night. I wanted to talk about another team that is low in the standings, actually the lowest in the standings. Detroit. Only 2 wins on the season. They had a 24-game losing streak. I'm trying to see who they play tomorrow night if they got a chance to break it.
You think it's Utah?
Utah. They got the first game on the slate tomorrow at home.
It's Utah, then Brooklyn on Saturday and Monday or Tuesday. They play Brooklyn back to back.
How do you fix the Pistons, bro?
A change from the top to bottom. Ownership has to. Tom Gores is a terrible owner. That man might be at 2 games a season. He's not.
Oh,
really
coming to the
involved.
games.
Yeah, like he's in LA most of the year. So he's pretty much an absentee owner. He's just a pocketbook, a checkbook. GM wise, everybody had faith in Troy Weaver, and Troy Weaver has done absolutely nothing. This man turned down 2 first-round picks for Bogdanovich last year. Like
Right.
Bogdanovich was going to be a building piece. They got to draft better too. Like nobody wants to call it out, but when you go back through the years and look at, they passed on Ty Halliburton for Killian Hayes. They could have had Booker. They could have had Desmond Bain. They could have had Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell thought he was going to be. Donovan Mitchell said he literally didn't miss a shot in his Detroit Pistons workout, and
Right.
they passed on him.
Right.
You can say Cade is out there by himself, but Cade has a lot of flaws too. The man can't go left.
You didn't like you didn't like the Ivy pickup last year when they drafted.
I wanted Mathurin.
And
I
he's
thought
in
Mathurin
and he's
fit
in
better.
potential trade talks right now.
Yeah, because the problem with Ivy is he's not a good outside shooter. He's just an athlete, right? He's Ja Morant, like basically, but he doesn't have the handles that Ja has.
And are you
Like
feeling?
Ja can go to either hand.
What about the Thompson twin? He's getting y'all great
I
rebound.
like him,
and he's
but-
in the starting lineup now. 20 games.
I like
in.
him, but I have when it comes to drafting players, if I'm drafting in the top 10, and this is my line of thinking, no matter if it's basketball or football, I'm not drafting like if you're in the NFL and you're drafting in the top 10, you're not going to draft a quarterback who can't throw. Right? You don't draft project players in the top 10. You draft players that you think can play now or that you think are, close to being franchise players. You don't draft players in the top 10 who you got to wait 4 or 5 years to develop, right? Those are later round guys. Thompson, they took him in the top 5. He had his offensive game is literally just slashing, right? Like you can't draft those type of in the NBA. I'm not taking a defender only in the top 5. I'm just not.
Unless they're
I
a
can find
generational
defenders.
defender, right?
No, even then.
Okay.
Like, okay, put it this way. Are you taking Ben Wallace in the top 5 of
No.
a draft?
No.
No. You're not
No.
taking Dennis Rodman in the top 5 of a draft either. Give me the dude who can get buckets. It's
Right.
a lot harder to find dudes who can get buckets, especially in meaningful crunch time minutes, than it is to find good defenders. Because a lot of defense is just based on effort and discipline. There's some people who are obviously generational at that, but like if you took the offense away from Hakeem, I'm not drafting him in the top 5. But the fact that Hakeem could give me 25 a game, you best believe I'm taking him, right? Like teams got to stop drafting project players so high.
If you're trying to get the team situated, you're gonna be building the team around Cade.
I'm not building around Cade.
No, I'm asking you. Are you building him around? Are you building the team around Cade? Are you blowing it up and starting from the beginning? You got a coach of the year in Monty Williams, a coach that took a team to the finals a couple years ago. He's the highest paid coach in the league, and he has 2 wins on the season.
He didn't want to be there to begin with.
How you don't want to be there? It's not like somebody put a knife to your throat, a gun to your back to take a job.
They offered him the job, but they offered him the job before. He turned it down, and then they came back to him with 80 mil. And another thing that people forgot about the whole situation that a lot of people don't know is the Pistons offered to pay for the medical services for his wife's cancer treatment.
Right before she passed.
Which is an unheard of thing in the NBA,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So it's hard to turn, like, he didn't want to be here. He turned down, I believe, like 60 million originally. And then they upped it to 80. And it's not like Monty was sitting on the sidelines. It's not like there was a bunch of teams going after Monty either. It's
Fair enough.
not like you had the whole league going after him, right? Like, yes, he helped Phoenix get to where they went, but let's not, we watched those games in Phoenix. We saw the issues. We saw how much Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson were held back. We've seen the issues with Ayton. We've seen Book and eventually KD didn't want Monty there. Like, Monty wasn't a perfect coach.
They
He's
in
a great
trouble now
person.
too, between you and me. Like I hate the way they played. They played the Blazers last
Yeah.
night. They can't. Bradley Beal came in for 2 or 3 games. He's back out,
But I tell
hurt.
everybody before the season about Bill being
Yeah,
hurt.
word, word.
So
I'm not on the bandwagon for that at all. I
yeah,
don't see them making much noise, if any, at all. It's maybe I mean even with this year, and they loaded up. Ishbia is one of them supervillain owners that turned over
he
the
gonna do
entire
whatever it
team.
take.
Whatever it took, he brought in the coach. He brought in the coaching staff. He overhauled the entire roster. He traded young players that what I'm
Brought in
saying.
Isaiah Thomas as an advisor.
Right. He's trying to win and trying to win fast. He's trying to put his imprint on it. He's trying to get rid of was it Sarver that was on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to get rid of the stain from Sarver immediately, and it's just not panning out. That's the equivalent of a player's coach or a player's owner. He's doing everything that everybody else wants him to do, and it's not panning out the way that you would have imagined it panning out. Book is playing on a high level.
Yeah.
Putting up great
He's
numbers,
playing pretty decent
but
too.
he's
Like,
doing it. One night he might have Kevin Durant. One night he might have Bradley Beal. I think all three of them have been on the court for only 2 games, and I think a total of
it's like 20 minutes. Together,
like 15, 20 minutes the entire season.
Yeah.
That's not a good look, especially for the money that he paid, for the picks, for the moves that he's made, for the picks that he swapped to get him. It goes back to defining what a superstar player is, what somebody's worth, and that's why I'm not a fan of knowing what players make, because we oftentimes make it a subjective argument. If you getting paid this much, well, you supposed to be one of them ones.
Yeah.
And it don't always work out like that. You know what I'm saying? So you say, oh, this person don't deserve that type of money, or they overpaid for this player, or whatever the case may be. I'm not counting anybody's pockets, but I just think it's a disappointment up until this point where we were expecting KD to be an all-time all-star player. He's not in the prime of his career anymore. It looks like he's on the downtread, and then Bradley Beal can't stay on the court.
Yeah. We want people to get their money. That's never been the issue. When we start talking about money, or even what players do on the court, it's in comparison to other players who are at that same contract level or production level. So,
Word.
It from a standpoint of health and production, Bill's contract does not warrant that compared to what other players of that money are getting and doing, right? Like,
Facts.
and not only that, but Kevin Durant has an injury history as well. And I've been saying it about Book too. Ever since them playoffs a couple years ago, when he tweaked his groin, he has had like these weird random groin pulls and ankle sprains that pop up like every couple weeks.
Yes.
And he was never the type to be hurt before that. So I don't know what's going on with that, but he did it in the playoffs last year too, Book, where he went up for a layup and I think he pulled his groin, and then he missed some time during the regular season, tried to come back too soon and re-aggravated it. So like, they're not a deep team. They're very top heavy, and then you also just have people missing games. Frank Vogel, he's not an offensive coach either, right? He's a defensive guy.
And you got a ton of offensive players, yeah.
Yeah. And on top of that, I mean, KD's whole thing of offense wins championships. Yeah, how's that working out, KD?
5 years removed from his last championship at this point.
Yeah, on a team that played defense, which is crazy for somebody of his caliber to say. Like, offense wins championships. That's a wild statement.
Trade pieces for the Pistons, looking
Everybody goes.
Everybody, but big at the top of the list, looking like Isaiah Stewart could help a team like a Cleveland, a Toronto, and LA even.
I heard Boston was on the trail for.
Yeah, I heard Boston too.
Be a younger version of Al Horford for him.
Yeah, he can bang. He has a 3, but he's not afraid of physicality, so he can get in the post. Yeah. And
just not a great rebounder.
He's just not. He's not a great rebounder, but he can clear out space in the post and create lanes for slashes.
Honestly, I mean, for me, the Pistons, the one thing they have 2 choices. If you're gonna try to keep Cade, you have to At some point, you have to get another player who is better than KD.
He's starting to find his offense too. He's starting to do it. He's trying to get back to his Oklahoma
He
State
can't
days.
go left. He can't go left.
He put up 40 the other night.
That's my biggest. Yeah, and I promise you, leading the league in turnover still. I think. Right, like his big issue, he can't go left, and he's not a good outside shooter either.
Word.
So if you're gonna pair him with other guards, that other guard has to be like Ivy, not a good outside shooter. Killian Hayes, not a good outside shooter. You got to get another guard in there.
So you thinking Mitchell
shoot from outside? I don't know if they have what Cleveland would want.
Cleveland is on the road to doing a fire sale as well. There was a report that came out early this week that said that Cleveland and Chicago were deep in talks about trading Garland for Zach LaVine straight up. But they just couldn't match the money. I think there was some pick swaps that just weren't able to push the deal over the top. I didn't really like that because we already got too many point guards and we still paying Lonzo. I couldn't make sense of it, but Zach LaVine getting the foot injury and kind of just sitting out up until this point, it's reading through the tea leaves. He's gonna be out of here pretty soon. The Bulls are probably just fielding what the best offer would be. Everybody keeps saying it's pretty much a done deal between the Lakers and the Bulls. They're trying to match up money and match up pieces. I don't want Rui Hachimura. I don't really want Austin Reeves. He's at a friendly price point, but they said it could be DeRozan, it could be Zach LaVine, it could be Alex Caruso. I expect to see a lot of names get moved around at the trade deadline because there's only a handful of teams that look like they're positioned to make a championship run. I know the Knicks just lost Mitchell Robinson for the season after he was playing really well out of the gate. So they're probably going to be in the market to try to replace his productivity on the defensive side. And they might be trying to create a package around R.J. Barrett too. This is the best he's played, but it's not what they were expecting up until this point. I was one to say last week they need to think about possibly reuniting him with Zion, trading Brandon Ingram for R.J. Barrett and sending Brandon Ingram to the Knicks so that they could have a third option on the scoring end instead of just leaving it up to Jalen and Julius.
Oh, I mean, if you're the Knicks, you take that deal in a heartbeat. But if you're the Pelicans, you're like, no way. I mean, B.I. B.I. has done a lot of stuff in the clutch since he's been in New Orleans.
He outplays Zion night in, night out.
You ain't getting that. You ain't getting that out of RJ.
Valanciunas is a double machine, underrated. Been playing consistently on all the teams that he's been on, whether it was Toronto or Memphis or now in New Orleans. I think the weak point on that team is actually C.J. McCollum, if you could believe it, and he might be a piece for Cleveland, somebody to help out Cleveland if they want to do maybe Donovan Mitchell to New Orleans for C.J. McCollum, Herb Jones and Alvarado. That might be something to be interested in if I'm Cleveland.
Yeah, I think about that one if I'm Cleveland for sure.
I don't see Donovan Mitchell going to the Knicks at all. He does too much of the same things that Jalen Brunson does. I think his usage rate is too high, and for what they already have going, I don't think that it would be a good fit. Maybe Brooklyn might be the better fit for him, and then obviously if you want to reopen up talks with Miami and focus in a package around Tyler Hero, I would definitely keep Jaime Jaquez out of that because he's playing amazing for him.
Ain't no way
he's playing amazing
without giving him
he looks like a fucking you know what I'm saying? He looked like one of them ones like from the motor, like a Rick Fox. Like, bro, you ain't going nowhere. You finna be in a Heat jersey for life if we can stand it.
Oh, the team I'm looking out for is Sacramento.
For Mitchell?
For Mitchell or for Levine or maybe one of those guys up in Toronto.
Well, Sacramento wanted Zach at first. Or they thought, or they played like they wanted him. I think that was more for them to hurt the Bulls when they first offered him the $82 million offer sheet and the Bulls had to match it. I think they just jacked up the price, but they called the Bulls bluff. And then, for what it's worth, he did go and get some All-Stars.
The way he's playing.
Well, who do you trade Levine for if you Sacramento?
Oh, Keegan Murray's definitely in there.
I don't think they're getting rid of him though. I don't think they're gonna part with him though.
That's the thing. I don't.
He like that new age Peja. You know what I'm saying?
Right now, yes. I mean, if you would have asked Sacramento, I think over the offseason, they probably would have said yes. But it helps because he's part of the core, but he's not De'Aaron Fox, he's not Sabonis, and I think Malik Monk would probably be the other untouchable for them more than likely. So most of their core would still be intact, right? Maybe you get rid of Kevin Horter, right? Like, so I think Keegan Murray would probably be involved in that. You probably have some other players from both teams involved, right? Like if you're Sacramento, you probably try to sneak like Kobe White out of that, possibly because they've been trying to trade him for years now. Or you
How
try to
much?
sneak
How
Caruso
much?
out of
How
it.
much? How much stroke or how much? I've been hearing the term the white hat. I've been watching 7 p.m. in Brooklyn. Shout out to Melo and the kid Mero. How much decision making capacity do you think De'Aaron Fox has in something like that? Like, I
At this
want
point, I think
Zach.
a lot.
I want Zach. Y'all can't get Monk out of here. That was his backcourt teammate since college. Like, nah, me and Monk is staying together. How much do you think the organization is going to Fox and saying like, yo, who do you want? Who do you not want? What do you think is best for the team? Or even
I think he has.
Sabonis, I would say.
I think Fox has worked his way into being being able to have that conversation with the front office now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a couple years ago, no, not so much, but after improving as much as he has and getting them to the playoffs and being as consistent as he has been for them, I think he has some say in it. Maybe not like obviously not like LeBron, Steph Curry type say, but I think they'll come to him and ask him like, "What do you think about it?" At least get his input.
I would rather Sacramento go out to Kuzma, to save him from
Oh, that's the last
Washington.
thing they need.
Huh?
Honestly, they don't need Levine either. They need defense. That's where they've been struggling.
Yeah, I
That's
agree. I agree. They need defense.
they
OG Anunoby,
yeah. Siakam or OG would probably be the best fits for
for
them.
Sacramento for sure.
The asking price just might be too high because Toronto is out here asking for championship banners in return.
Speaking of championship banners, or not, the Lakers hung their IST banner, but I wanted to talk about All Stars coming up in Indianapolis. Excuse me. I placed my vote already. I wanted to get your thoughts on what my card was looking like. I gotta pull it up here.
Shoot.
Okay, so boom. So my All-Star starters for the East Side, I got at the guard spot, I got Tyrese Maxey and Halliburton as my guards, and then front court, I got Joel Embiid, Giannis, and Jason Tatum as my front court players. I was hard pressed to decide between Maxey and Jalen Brunson. I think the easiest decision to be made was this. It was this week. Maxey kind of separated himself. He's been playing great. I think he had 35 tonight.
Yeah.
So and obviously it goes without saying, like Ben Simmons, James Harden leaving Philadelphia was the best thing to happen to Maxey at this point. There's one more guard I wanted to get into before we get out of the
Yeah,
NBA BMT.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that five.
For the starting five. Okay. Check them
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I'm kind of along. I'm with you on that one.
West Side, I got Shea, Anthony Edwards as my backcourt starters. And then my front court, I got Nikola Jokic, Anthony Davis, and Kawhi. As my starters. I think the biggest argument for me was going to be which guards to put in or not put in. So it was, you could have had a mixed bag: Luka, Steph, Devin Booker, Shea, and Anthony Edwards. But obviously, Shea's putting up the numbers. Anthony Edwards is the best player on the best team right now in the league.
Yeah, I think Ant.
So I wanted to reward that way.
Ant should be starting. If it was the other guard spot, I'd probably be choosing between Book, Luka, and Steph.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably be choosing. I honestly probably would go with Book. That man been playing out his mind.
I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, he's been playing out his mind. Like,
I'm not mad at it. OKC's record is second in the West, 17-8. Booker has the numbers, Shea has the numbers and the record. That was the determining factor for me. But if you swap them out, you wouldn't get an argument out of me. You know what I'm saying? I like the fact that you ain't really had no rebuttals. That means my list is solid. You know what I'm saying? And it made me feel good because
like,
I'm
just not on the. I'm just not on the like. I like SGA. I'm just not on the bandwagon like most people are.
No, it's not necessarily a bandwagon thing for me. I think that his game has risen. I think his game is risen.
Yeah, bandwagon in terms of like I'm not as high on him as everybody is.
Okay, well, why not?
I think he's holding that team back.
Really?
And I don't mean that in like a. I don't mean that in like a malicious way.
Holla at me.
Wow.
I don't mean it in a malicious way, but like,
bro,
he reminds me a lot of Kyrie. Where like, you like there was a game I want to say it was against the Pelicans, right? And Shea was like off that game. He started off like 1 of 10 or something, and Jalen Williams was cooking, kept him in that game.
Word.
Shea got back in the game, and Jalen Williams ain't touched the ball the whole third quarter. And it's like Shea has tunnel vision, right? Like what he does in terms of in that mid range, the pull up, the floater, getting to the basket, the crossover, getting to the free throw line, it's great. But there are at least 15 to 20 plays a game where he's got somebody wide open under the basket. He's got somebody wide open cutting or in the corner, and he's just dribbling. He's just spin move, fake, behind the back, crossover, sidestep. Like, and it's like, bro. And when you really look at the team with all the talent they're amassing over the last few years, the team has not taken any real jumps. And you would think that with a player of his caliber and adding way more talent, the team would be taking greater strides than what they are. They're still basically the same team, like from a record standpoint.
Bro, they second in the West.
Give it time. Give it time. Give it time. Give it time.
You don't believe in nobody, bro.
Nah, bro. And again, I just don't think Shea is a good fit with a team that's trying to rebuild, right? Like, I think if you drop Shea on New Orleans, this is a different story. Right? Like, it's not that I don't like Shea. I just don't think he fits. Like, you wouldn't put Kyrie on a team that was rebuilding. Right? Like, yeah, Kyrie gonna get his, but he don't really, the way he plays don't really help with development and growth of and making teammates better in that situation. But you put Shea on New Orleans instead of CJ McCollum, now we talking, right? Because now you got a real true running mate for BI, right? Or you put Shea on a Knicks team next to Jalen Brunson.
Bill Simmons said today he wouldn't be mad at the Jazz trading Lauri Markkanen to the Thunder for a player to kind of round them out, because he said he believes that they have a chance to make it to the finals this
Lauri
year.
and Chet together would be disgusting. Disgusting. Like they would wreak havoc. They would wreak havoc. But yeah, I just think Shea's the wrong fit, right? Like you put Shea on this current Toronto team in that point guard spot. I mean, just think about how Toronto has always had problems scoring the ball a lot of games, right? They got defenders. They just have issues offensively. You put Shea on that Raptors team. I mean, that's probably a top 4 seed, right? Or you put him on the Pacers next to Halliburton, right?
I want to see what moves the Pacers make. I think Ben Mathurin is a piece for them that is trade worthy. I'm not trading for Miles Turner if I'm any team. I'm gonna be honest with you. You can keep the Legos. You can keep the goddamn.
The
whack ass play. You got blown out. You got embarrassed at the IST. Y'all tried to snake Giannis for the game ball. You call yourself trying to be a fake tough guy in the hallway outside the locker room. Nah, bro. I'm good. I'm not trading for Buddy Hield. He just got whooped on last night. Not like barely playing any defense. Halliburton needs some help, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rick Carlisle has done Mathurin a huge disservice. Like last season, there was no reason for Mathurin to be coming off the bench.
Not at all. Like, I like the way Obi's playing for them though too.
Yeah, Obi's giving him some good time too. Bruce Brown hasn't really panned out with the Pacers. So
yeah,
that's also been kind of an issue. But like,
he might be trying to find his way back to Denver at some point.
Yeah, but Mathurin to me, he's got elite 2-way player upside, right? Like I want Mathurin if I'm trading for somebody from the Pacers.
I wouldn't be mad if he came to the Bulls.
No, what?
I wouldn't be mad at all.
No, not at all. Like he needs to go somewhere where he can kind of get a chance. Like, I wouldn't be mad at Mathurin on the Knicks.
I wouldn't be mad at Mathurin on the Knicks either. RJ for Mathurin. Yeah, and
Mathurin on the
Mathurin
Heat, right?
and for RJ and Quigley.
Yeah, put him on the Heat, right? You put him next to Jimmy. And Mathurin he got that dog in him. So
He's not scared of contact. He love playing in like congestion. He's a really good passer on the move. Like, yeah, I'm not mad at it at all.
Get it off the dribble. He just got to work on the outside jumper. But I mean, he's got all the tools in the bag. Like he's even a guy I like to see. Like, I don't know what the asking price for him would be, but like even if like Philly got him to pair, like put in that perimeter spot next to Maxey, and you still got Joe.
I've been racking my brain all week about how to get Orlando over the top. They're getting Wendell Carter back soon.
He's
gonna be on a minutes restriction, but how do you flip Fultz in a way that makes the Magic better? And how do you fortify that bench? Because Cole Anthony going for 30 a night is not the key to success in terms of getting through 4 rounds in the playoffs when things get thick.
And actually, I think you hold on to Fultz and you get rid of Cole Anthony.
Wow, I wouldn't have thought that.
And the only reason I say that is because Fultz is kind of been like, he was hurt at the beginning of the last season, but when he came back is when you've seen that Magic team kind of take a turn for the better. He's kind of like a stabilizing force for them, right? He's very mature for a younger player in the league. He's steady, right? Like, you know what you're gonna get out of him on a night-to-night basis. He gonna crash boards. He gonna play a little bit of defense, and he gonna get you some points too, and he gonna dish the ball. Like,
I would love to see Cole Anthony on the Knicks though, come off the bench with Quigley.
See, that'd be fine, right?
All the way firepower, hell yeah.
And I think Cole Anthony is better served elsewhere where his talents would be more impactful, right? As a 6-man scorer. So I mean, I think you keep Fultz as the kind of, and you need Fultz to kind of continue to help guide Anthony Black, who's got a lot of potential as a starting point guard. Yeah. So like,
he's a slow burn.
I wouldn't be mad at Cole Anthony for Ben Mathurin.
That's not bad either, bro.
I think that's a win. You get Tyson scoring help, and then you get Orlando, another bigger guard who can score and defend. Obviously, there'll be some other pieces in there, right? Like maybe you throw Jonathan Isaac in there and you help the Pacers out a little bit, and maybe you send another player like a TJ McConnell over or something, like, you know what I mean? Like something. So I wouldn't be mad at that either. And I think Cole Anthony has more value than Fultz. Fultz is expiring contract, so I think Cole Anthony with the scoring has more value too.
Let's get out of NBA. I don't really have much for NFL. I was gonna let that be KD's joint, but
I don't know if he would have much to say this week.
He was gonna go in on Jalen Hurts. He been in the group chat all week.
It's cool. The Cowboys lost too, bro.
Yeah, bro. Like it's cool, bro.
Everybody was talking about the Niners ain't that team last week, right? Here we are, another week, and the Niners still top dog.
I watched the Bears blow a game against Joe Flacco, or the zombie version, the Half-Life version. They done dug him up out of a coffin somewhere. Man. He was at the crib playing cross guard, selling ice cream, and then he comes in as the fourth starter for the Browns this season. Ended up beating the Bears 20-17. Saw Higgins Catch, potentially catch of the year, player of the year candidate, might be up for an ESPY next summer against the Minnesota Vikings. The Bengals win 27-24. What other game of note came out to you? I saw the Jets got blanked by the Dolphins, who are not really known for defense.
Oh, we know what the most important thing that happened. Brandon Staley gone.
Yeah, about time, shit.
And the GM too. Telesco gone too. Like, they clean house basically.
Shout out to my dog Cassie Bradley with the Chargers. How do you fix that situation? Who do you bring in to kind of get them back on the right track?
Well, I mean, I think the two names that they'll probably go after are either Belichick if he leaves New England, or Ben Johnson, the coordinator from the Lions.
Yeah, I've been hearing his name a lot these past couple of weeks.
And I think they both would do different things. Like, obviously, Ben Johnson, you get the most out of the offense. Belichick, that defense with all that talent on that defense would be elite with Belichick there. right? So I mean, I think it starts in the front office though. Like you got to go get a GM who kind of understands building around a franchise quarterback, especially you want somebody who's experienced, honestly, because Herbert just got that big contract, so you're gonna have to do some shaking and moving to kind of build around that. You see the problems Kansas City's going through right now with the lack of weapons, and then not wanting to pay
Lack of
Chris
stability.
Jones. Yeah, so you gotta go. I think you need a GM who's done it before, who kind of has some experience, not like a fresh face. And then head coach wise, I think you need a guy who, because the big problem with the Chargers over the years has been time management and clock management and situational football.
You got to compete in that division. You got to get somebody that's gonna come in and not be
Yeah,
afraid to go after go after Kansas City.
yeah.
They
And
done had a
so
stranglehold on that division ever since Mahomes got the starting job. So you got to find somebody that's gonna play
it's
them.
crazy because Herbert has outplayed Mahomes in a lot of their head-to-head
That's a fact.
matchups.
That's a
Going back
fact,
to his
dog.
rookie year, like
That's a fact,
so,
dog. Did you see Tom Brady comments about another like dig at the new age version of the NFL? He came at
yeah,
Gardner Minshew, said that he put his wide receiver in jeopardy by putting him in a position to basically get hit across the middle. That was a nasty
yeah.
shot
Which,
too.
which I mean, Tom Brady, look, as great as he is, I can't. We can all sit here and recount how many times he's put Welker and Edelman
Mm-hmm.
and Gronk,
Mm-hmm.
especially Gronk, in danger
Mm-hmm.
by throwing it over the middle because he used to love throwing them little crossing routes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I I understand what he's saying, but at the same time, like Tom Brady is not innocent of doing the same thing.
No doubt.
So
No doubt.
he's just the goat. So we kind of listen to what he says, but
Have we picked the
he's not
MVP yet?
innocent.
Have we picked the MVP yet for the season?
It's hard to now. Every time we get somebody in the lead, here we go.
Yeah,
Right?
like they keep coming back down to earth, right?
Yeah. So I'm kind of locked in on Lamar, Christian McCaffrey, Dak, or Tyreek.
I
Like
think
and maybe
the
Brock
safest
Purdy at 5.
I think the safest play is McCaffrey. He's been the most consistent all year. I was ready to give it to Hurts 10 games in, 8 games in. They were 15-1 at one point, no? Or I know they had only one loss for a while.
Yeah, they started off 9-0 or 10-0.
I was ready to give it to Jalen Hurts. Then, Dak started making a surge. Then he got fucked up by the Bills. They came back and beat the Eagles. Or do I have it backwards? They beat the Eagles first, then they lost to the Bills on Sunday night.
Yeah, they beat the Eagles first. So yeah, I
Exact
think,
same
I
record
think,
right now. Both clinched playoff spots, but they're 10-4 in the NFC East with three games to go.
Yep.
Nobody
I know the
talking about
Cowboys
Lamar
got the
Jackson and the
Lions
Ravens, who
coming
have
up.
the best record in football right now. No, 11-3.
Yeah, Lamar right now is my,
Tied with San Francisco, who's already clinched their division at 11-3.
and they play Christmas Eve,
Big game, big slate of games
which
this
might
weekend.
be the MVP game, right? Because I mean, like I said, you got Lamar, Christian McCaffrey, and then like I said, Brock Purdy's kind of like in my 5th spot for MVP because
Yeah.
been he's there, right? He hasn't had too many big blunders this year, so obviously I got McCaffrey ahead of him.
I give it to McCaffrey.
Yeah,
I would.
McCaffrey's been he's been the workhorse of that offense. So I mean, McCaffrey would be my lead
Broke Jerry
guy.
Rice's consecutive touchdown record for the franchise. Has been like a breath of fresh air ever since he got traded over that last year. And if you think about it, looking back on it, it's like, man, I know he's probably looking over his shoulder at like what Carolina is doing without him at this point. Next to nothing. Nothing. You feel me? Like,
Man.
damn, I'm so glad I got up out of that situation. McCaffrey and Lamar probably are the two at the top of the MVP conversation. We was talking Tyreek Hill for a while.
I still got Tyreek up there though, because I mean, how close is he to 2,000? Like, that's hard to ignore.
Injuries might not allow him to get there though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He left the game. He left these past 2 games.
Yeah, I mean it's no different than him not playing a lot of fourth quarters this year.
Fourth in receptions right now, first in yards, 97 receptions, 1,542 yards on the season, 12 touchdowns, best in the league amongst receivers. Average catch
He need to
yardage is
average
16
like
yards a catch. Unanimous
he need
Pro
to
Bowl.
average like what 175 a game over these last three. Yeah,
And he could do it if he's healthy. I know it's something that means a lot to him. He said that very early on in the season. That's something that he wanted to do. But at this point, I think that's what he would have to do and more in order to secure an MVP. Not, I think right now McCaffrey's in the driver's seat for it.
yeah. I'm still. I want to see how the Texans finish off because I still feel like Stroud deserves some MVP recognition.
Honorable
Sorry,
mention.
you don't go from the first pick to possibly being like an 11 or 12 win team. Like that just is unheard of pretty
No
much.
doubt. No doubt.
So and a big part of that obviously coach, Coach D'Amico Ryan is a huge part of that, but so is CJ. Like to me, D'Amico coach of the year. I don't even think it's close in my book. And then
with McDaniel.
you said Owen McDaniel.
Yeah.
I got D'Amico.
Mm.
He took over a team that was in shambles.
What about the bell?
So yeah, I think CJ and D'Amico both should be in the running for their respective categories.
I had a sneaker rundown and I had some quick hits, but it was really for a panel, so we're gonna say that for the next time. Did you see that first take commercial though? The one I put in the notes? They basically was having a funeral service. That was very weird. And very telling to me.
I mean, I don't know what they were going for. I don't know. I feel like I gotta watch it play out.
They already came out with the numbers. They said that first take is killing them. I actually got the tweet. Let me give me a second. I'm gonna pull it up.
Well, yeah, I mean, we all knew this was gonna happen, though.
What? Did my joints get deleted? I guess they did. Oh shoot. Okay, that's weird. Yeah, they said that first take was out here putting dirt on the grave on Undisputed. So I don't know. That's weird. My joints got deleted. I don't know why. I don't know how. Anywho.
I mean, we all knew kind of. I mean, Shannon had outgrown Undisputed, and we kind of see what he's doing. I mean, he's still going. He's going viral with him and Ocho. Like,
yeah,
off
shout out
of
to
their
Nightcap.
podcast alone. Like,
Yeah. They some fools, man.
man, look, bro, Shannon
Certified
on
clowns,
a different kind of time right now.
Both of them. Sneaker rundown. They did the Jordan spring preview. Everything on that was fire. I don't know if you caught it. They got the reimagined fours. That's probably like the big fish of the showcase.
I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen like the clip of him and Tatum and him and Tiana Taylor.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Nia Lorraine too, who did the Jordan preview. We're gonna keep y'all posted in 2024 when they drop. A bunch of dope sneakers is coming out. I think my sneaker of the year is still gonna be the SB4s, white and green joints. I didn't get my hands on none, but I've heard nothing but good things. So that's gonna be my vote. I'm gonna try to double back and get me a pair in 2024 once the hype goes down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. The reverse Grinches, man.
You got your pair?
No, it's already hard enough to get Kobe's. On top of that, I wear 14. Like, so,
I got my regular Grinches and called it one.
So I mean, and I do like the Venice Beaches they got dropping next year. The Pro Venice Beach joints, the 8s.
Word.
But yeah, Nike man, they better stop playing with people.
Let's go straight to shout outs, man. Who you got for the week?
Man, this week I'm gonna give a hopeful shout out to the Wolverines. I'm hoping to beat Alabama.
Word.
I'm skeptically optimistic here.
Harbaugh been in some coaching rumors too.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I heard his name brought up for the Chargers, possibly.
Yeah, for the Chargers and possibly for the Bears if they move on from Flus.
Man, that man been connected to the Bears for years.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I want to give a shout out to Michigan, man. Back at it. I won a championship though. It's been too long. 97. It's been far too long.
It's definitely been a minute.
Also want to give a shout out to God, I just blanked on it. I literally just blanked on it, like in a split second.
Come back to it.
Damn.
I'm gonna shout out Steph Curry.
Go.
First to
My
35. First player in history to reach 3,500 3-pointers. Still putting the nail in the coffin on that 3-point record. The greatest shooter in the history of the game. Shout out to the Clippers. They starting to turn the tide on getting chemistry built with that team. I wanted to shout out Antonio Brown over the weekend. He got his degree, graduated from Central Michigan University. He did the AB dance across the stage. So shout out to AB. That's always a big thing for the culture, seeing black men get that piece of paper. Keegan Murray had a record 12 3-pointers consecutive in his 47-point effort against the Utah Jazz the other night. That beat out Steph Curry's joint. I think Steph Curry had the previous record. Keegan Murray had 12 consecutive without a miss. So shout out to the young boy Keegan Murray.
It's like 12 or 13, boy. That's nasty work. That's some nasty work, bro.
Want to wish everybody a happy holidays. Spending it with your loved ones. Cherishing your loved ones. I said this last year in one of my posts. The gifts is not what's under the tree, but in your heart. So make sure you ending the year with the ones that you love. Shout out to the ones that aren't fortunate enough to have their loved ones around for the holidays. Whether you lost them or they're incarcerated or whatever the case may be, hold your head. Celebrate it as best as you can. Be blessed and grateful for what you do have, and don't be worried about what you don't. I want to send a big shout out to Reason to Doubt podcast. Jay Sims, Joe Jack, Stino, all of them over there at Reason to Doubt. Looking forward to the new content. Shout out to the Reason to Doubt weekend they've been having these past couple summers. I need to tap in and be on site with them. But with that, that's all I got, bro. Did it ever come back to you before we get up out of here?
No.
Save it. We might do
my brain, boy.
We might do a year-end wrap next week. Enjoy the holidays, man. Like I said, don't forget to tap in with us each and every time we drop this yellow top. Put the word out on the street. We back up, man. Check us out on the socials labeled and known. Virtuoso Sport at Hitmen Podcast. Hit us up in the mailbag to hitmenpodcast@gmail.com. Last thing before we go.
What happened here was a miracle, and I want you to acknowledge it.
All right, it was a miracle. Can we go now?
We almost to 100. Stay locked in. Be safe. We'll catch y'all next week. Holla!
Out of a target center. Oh!